Been on dispatch. Corbin has said on defense, you guys are kind of going on fumes, running out of bodies anyway. How do you manage that?
Well, I think the biggest issue is just having guys step up. We've got guys. We've got players. We just need some of those 2s and 3s to step up and when they get their opportunities to play. And we're obviously going to find out if they can play.
What's been the issue with them still developing?
Well, I don't think there's an issue. It's just a matter. Sometimes you got to get guys on the field, to find out if they really play or not. There's some guys that when you get them out there on the game field, boy, they're a totally different guy, than sometimes what you see in practice. So we just have to get them on the field and let them play.
Middle, Brandon Desto with the Ozo. You had a couple guys on the back end of the defense grade out extremely high this week. Christian and Travis and Bradley all over 95%. What did you see from those guys this week?
Well, I think this past week they probably had their best week of practice as far as preparation. We really challenged. We were challenged defensively, obviously, from the Indiana game to play better. And I think the guys accepted the challenge, and part of that accepting the challenge is preparing better. And I think our guys prepared better, and I think they understood what we were getting from Purdue, and I think they executed, well.
Right, David.
Coach Dave Wilson, 10 TV. Obviously, just 2 big plays resulted in got on these guys. I'm wondering, after all the criticism that had been there, does that type of performance just flip the switch where confidence just rests on these guys?
Well, I hope so. We hope that, like I said, going back to the preparation, that it's funny. The first play of the game, we really repped it like crazy. Is this one of those deals where first play of the game, guy gets paralyzed and we don't make a play. But overall, our kids bounced back. I think they played with confidence. I think you saw that in the fourth quarter. You saw that in overtime, where our kids felt like we were going to make the play. I don't think there was any point in time in that game, even when we were down, that our kids didn't think we were going to get the ball back to our offense and that we were going to score. So, hats off to them for having some confidence. I think the confidence started during the week with preparation.
Front right, Austin.
Austin Ward, ESPN.com. When you put C.J. Barnett back out there at safety, what impact does that have for you guys? Obviously, there's more depth, and Orion doing a good job, but what does he do that really helps everywhere else on defense?
Well, it's a guy with experience. Guy that's played some snaps. He's been in some big games. He understands what we're doing schematically. So it's not, when you're moving guys around, sometimes you're always having to play it close to the vest so the guy doesn't get screwed up with a call. CJ, you can make adjustments on the sideline, and you get, okay, I got it. Let's go do it. Even if we tweak a defense, he can make it. So it gives you kind of a comfort level to have a guy like that.
Has he been back to full strength as far as you guys are concerned? Because it's maybe the first game back, it seemed a little hesitant still maybe on
Well, back to full strength mentally or back to full strength physically? Physically, I don't think anybody in America is full strength, so he's playing about like most of the safeties across the country as far as physical, being back to full strength. But mentally, I think the first game back was something for him to try to get back in the flow. And then this past week, I think he played a lot better.
Middle, Dave.
Dave Biddle, Bucknuts. Everett, have you watched much film so far with Penn State quarterback Matthew DeWine?
Yeah.
Do you think he's the best passer you guys will face all season?
I think he's the most efficient passer. Does a nice job of finding. He knows exactly where he wants to go with the ball. We turned on tape last night and we saw him actually go 1, 2, 3 on reads, where I don't know if we've seen that all year. From any quarterback. Most quarterbacks is 1, take off and run, or duck and hide. He actually went 1, 2, 3, so he's actually, pretty talented as far as progression reads and that type thing. He does a nice job buying time, in the pocket. He'll escape the rush, he'll move left to right, and he finds the right guy. So I would say he's probably, if not the best, one of the top 2 that we've seen so far this year.
And how much do you chalk that up to him, coached by Bill O'Brien, a guy fresh out of the NFL, there's Tom Brady, offensive coordinator in the NFL. How much do you think that's helping?
Well, I'm sure it's a big help to have somebody like that, like Coach O'Brien, be his coach and actually teach him and show him film. Well, I'm sure he showed him film of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. He's got all the mannerisms as Tom Brady has if you watch him on tape. So I think it's pretty. It's probably a bonus for him to have that type of coaching.
Middle, Brandon.
Coach, I just want to ask you talked to Coach Herman just a minute ago, and you mentioned the coach's job is to be objective about the end of that game and the way things kind of came about. But as a coach, when that happens and you guys win like that, what is it like for you after that game? Are you able to celebrate and get into the emotion of how big a moment that is?
Well, here's what you got to think about coaches. During that whole last drive, we were all preparing defensively for overtime because our thoughts were we're getting ready to score, we're going to get a 2-point conversion, we're going to overtime. We'd like to win the toss, we'd like to play defense first. Well, that didn't happen, okay, so we hope our offense scores, so we know what we have to do. So there's a lot of thought process in that whole last part of the fourth quarter and into overtime. As the momentum swung and we got the 2-point conversion, I think as coaches, we felt like we were going to win the game. I know our players felt like they were going to win the game. And we just wanted to put them in the right spot so they can win the game. As the game ends, obviously you're excited. You're excited for the kids because, they more than anything else, these kids stayed calm. They played right through the situation. There was no hesitation, no panic, and that's a tribute to these kids.
Front row left, Doug. Doug Landry's the plain dealer. Just you guys are 8-0, the new staff, lots of new stuff this year. Just how would you evaluate overall how this staff has coached this team this year and how Coach Meyer has coached this team this year in the first year?
Well, I think it's been a big positive. There's been a lot of good things happen with this group. There's been some guys grow up, step up that have been here that may not have been guys that produced in the past. So that's a plus. So that I give that to the coaches, the coaching staff, Coach Meyer, his objectives, what we need to get done, how you build a program. I think you'll continue to see guys step up in this program, players, because there's constant pressure to play better. There's constant pressure to get your job done. There's constant pressure to do right off the field, do right in the classroom. And I think that pressure helps guys grow up and become young men, and we keep seeing that daily with some of our guys.
Front row, right, Tim?
Tim Mayclub's dispatch. Everett, how do you play that fine line between pushing guys in practice right now, but you've got Jonathan Ankes came out of the game 2 or 3 times the other day. CJ's playing on the back. How do y'all play that through practice, but yet demand a certain level of performance on Saturdays? You understand what I'm saying? You're beat up and stuff, but how do you play that?
Well, you don't compromise, working hard in practice because the only way you can prepare for a game is by competitive reps in practice, so you can't compromise that. These guys aren't NFL players where they can just go line up and play. So you have to see the speed of the game in practice, and the only way to do that is to practice hard and get competitive reps. Obviously, you have to, at this time of the year, this portion of the year, you have to be careful with how many reps that they get. So I think it's the number of reps more so than how we practice. We're going to continue to practice hard every day. We're going to continue to be physical every day. Now it comes to how many reps do you get.
How much is guys being banged up, some guys out there, is it limited what y'all want to do on defense or what you've tried to do, or have you found it creep into y'all's thinking, your planning, etc.?
Well, you try not to. You try not to let that creep into. As long as you've got guys out there that can comprehend the base scheme of what you're doing defensively, you feel like you can implement a game plan each week to stop the other team. That's the objective. The objective is to find how do you stop the other team? What can you do to stop the other team and implement that during the week? And I think, we haven't stopped trying to do that any week.
Can I ask one last thing? The widescreen. Why is the widescreen so difficult.
The wide screen.
Yeah, I mean, like
oh, first play of the game?
Yeah, well, yeah, no, they ran. I think
oh, the tunnel screens.
Yeah, tunnel.
Because the splits are so far out, and it's really offense has two plays called. They have a run play and the screen called. And if you have 5 guys in the box, they're going to run it. If you try to overplay the wide screen or you try to overplay the run, then they're going to throw it out there. They just count numbers. They got a blocker for a blocker and a guy catching the ball running. It takes a guy getting off a block, right, to go make a tackle.
Purely effort. I mean,
the key to stopping the screen, we stop the screen in overtime, okay? And the only way you stop the screen in overtime is pursuit. And you saw John Hankins, somebody said he was laying on the ground. I mean, he had to chase a couple screens in that game. And we call them big man hits, retracing to get big man hits. And that's what he got at the end of the game. And that's how you stop it.
Coach, thank you very much.
All right.